At first glance, Stephanie Williams seems like a normal 14-year-old. Starstruck,
All-time favorite band? One Direction.
boy crazy,
Yeah, that's a given.
and in tune with the latest fads.
I really like mustaches.
But Stephanie and her 9-year-old sister Carrie have endured hardships most won't experience in a lifetime.
Last year was just a really bad year.
Their father lost a hard-fought battle to an illness.
We've had a couple of arguments over who Dad liked more and who Dad did more stuff for and stuff. We miss him a lot.
Instantly, their young lives changed forever.
I cried and cried and cried and cried.
Shortly after their dad died, their mother's health went south.
We found her in our apartment laying in the middle of the floor. And the first time it happened, I got so scared that I thought she was dead.
I had a series of strokes. My girls were worried every day. You know, is Mom gonna make it? I've already lost Dad. Is Mom gonna make it? And I'd struggle every day and tell them, you know, you pray for me. We'll pray together. You know, God will let this all work out. He wouldn't take both of your parents away.
With no one to call Dad and no source of income, it felt like everything was falling apart.
It all hit me at once, and I was left without a dime.
Fighting illness and grief, the struggle to make ends meet became overwhelming.
My dad died, and we didn't have any money to pay the rent. And because we didn't have money to buy clothes or food.
Dollars can only stretch so far before they break. The Williams family was suddenly homeless.
We've lived in that apartment for 4 years. That's the place that we lived with Daddy the last time.
School can be an escape from the troubles at home, but trouble followed Stephanie to school.
I've had a lot to smile about, but I've had a lot to cry about too.
She became a target, a victim of her own misfortune.
They say that most people that are homeless are stupid, and they started calling me stupid. And we know you don't have a dad, but now you don't have a home either. At least I still have a home, and I still have my dad. I've had a lot of things happen to me, but that just adds on to the stress, and it adds on to all the pain.
Stephanie isn't alone. Betty Poole with the EVSC says socially, homeless children are often isolated by their peers.
That's kind of close to my heart because I've seen firsthand that the children suffer, you know, because of their special life situations, and it's prevalent out there. It really is.
She says homelessness often leaves children wounded, emotionally and mentally.
It lowers their self-esteem, their self-worth. They don't do well primarily in school. They don't have the social behaviors that they need to have in order to become successful adults.
Do you want your hair up or down today?
Up. Half up, half down.
Holly and her girls eventually moved into the Patino shelter, where they currently stay.
I can tell a difference from the day we moved in. It was like a burden had been lifted off their shoulder.
She actually wears a wig.
Oh yeah, that's not Dolly's real hair. They didn't smile a lot last year. And now that they're here, they laugh and they smile. Oh.
It's fun because we have a backyard that we can play in, and because we're close to a park.
It may be a home for the homeless, but it's a place where they can be normal once again.
I mean, it's a nice place, but I would kind of like my own room. Even though I don't have a home, I still have a roof over my head. I have clothes, I have food, and that's all I really need.
They've learned it doesn't take 4 walls and a roof to make a home.
It's brought us closer, a lot closer.
Homelessness doesn't always mean hopelessness.
Nothing can break us up. Nothing can bring us apart.
I was in trouble with my parents because I broke a window in the house.
Caleb Zeller says his homelessness started as a 17-year-old runaway.
I thought it was a way to get out.
In an effort to avoid shelter life, he lived couch to couch.
Being in the shelter is not sunshines, rainbows, and kitty cats. You know, it's stressful.
But couch surfing led to a dangerous lifestyle, bunking up with other street teens.
We used to call it the flop house. Probably about 10, 15 people in there at a time. Partying, break windows, you know, trash the place and move on to another one.
Misery loves its company, but Zeller eventually found himself surrounded only by broken beer bottles, addicted to the newfound vice. He moved into an abandoned shed to live by himself.
I did not trust anybody but myself.
But isolation turned dangerous when a winter ice storm froze the door to his shelter, trapping him inside for 4 days.
I stayed in there drinking snow water, you know, and I'm thinking of just ending it there, you know, just sleep with nothing, and hopefully it killed me.
It didn't kill him, so he tried to do it himself, again and again and again.
Being homeless, it's rough.
Trust is hard to find on the streets, but Zeller found it in one man named Kenny.
He taught me how to survive out there.
Kenny would become Zeller's father figure and best friend. They shared an oath to become independent. Their journey took them to the United Caring Shelter, through transitional housing, finally landing in a place of their own.
He got his life together because I got my life together. That was one of our promises.
And it was a promise they celebrated. With keys in hand, they knew they'd made it. But an old nemesis would come knocking at the door.
He had heart problems. I was over at his house celebrating his new apartment. He died.
Amanda Crow with the Evansville Rescue Mission says teen homelessness is a growing problem in the tri-state.
It's hard to spot a lot of times because they stay with friends and things like that. So normally by the time they get here to the shelter, it's rock bottom for them.
Crow says there are 3 typical scenarios that lead to teen homelessness: broken homes, leaving foster care, or getting kicked out. They're sometimes called the lost group, a term that reflects an absence of resources. Crow says a staggering number of parents leave their 18-year-old sons on the doorsteps of the rescue mission, saying he's your problem now.
It's really sad because you see these kids in here and they still need parenting. They have not learned everything that they need to learn. We've had guests who actually are still even in high school.
According to the National Coalition for the Homeless, many homeless teens find exchanging sex for food, clothing, and shelter as their only chance of survival on the streets.
I think it's very prevalent, and I don't think that it's always exchanged for money. I think it's often exchanged for just to have a roof over your head.
Zeller moved into his apartment in 2009. He's been sober since 2010.
I'm extremely happy.
True happiness came with mending the relationship with his family.
My parents, they told me, you're gonna live in a box if you don't friggin' straighten up. What happened to me? I lived in a box. I lived out there on them streets because I didn't straighten up. But now that I straightened up, I look back at that and I'm going, man, I love my mom and dad.